Okay, let's go. Welcome. I do a weekly devlog on this project that I'm working on. I've been working on it for weeks, and it looks like I will be continuing to work on it for weeks. I also have some ice cream here. So this week, or this past week, which isn't technically over yet because I'm recording this on Wednesday, because I'm going to be gone over the weekend. So I was like, I wanted to record something to show you what I've been working on and what I'm probably going to be working on for the next week and a half, so I can at least get an update out. Last week we talked about projects. We implemented creating a project, this modal window, and then last week refactoring it so that we can use it for both editing and then also deleting. You'll notice something might be slightly different here. New input message here to like really help you. And then also I'm still working on, let's create another test project just because. So this is new. This is what I said I was gonna work on last week, which is a page. So let's just, let's edit this. I'm gonna have like a better color. That looks good. Okay. So here's our test project. Look, it's got a project page now. That's what I said I was gonna do last week. And look, you can press these things and it's a tab bar. And this is eventually what projects will have. They will have tasks, lists, prototypes, accomplishments, statistics, and settings. And look, there's actual settings here. We can see the scroll bar is a little bit annoying, so I'm just gonna move this down slightly. There we go. I need to update that. I'll add that to my to-do list of things to do. Because it's not technically done yet, but I'm showing you it because it looks cool. So we have all of the ability to view all of these things, and that's all I really wanted to get done with this, because all of this stuff is all going to be separate project type stuff to work on. Like tasks is going to be an ordeal. To-do lists is also going to be equally as challenging. Then prototypes for tasks and lists. I don't know if I'm going to do prototype for lists. I'm still kind of out on that, although I have a few different use cases where I personally know I'd use a prototype for a task full of prototyped tasks, or a prototype list full of prototype tasks. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The big deal here is we got settings, so now we can actually edit out and say something. Let's give it a new color. Change our hourly rate to 0. Boom! We can see the changes immediately occurred up here, and you can even see down here the testing thing here. I spent a lot of time with the validation on this stuff. Specifically this guy down here. This guy gave me the most trouble. So we have to type in, you can see now when we type in, it doesn't go green, and this thing doesn't light up until it's spelled it exactly. So if we spell it even like too much, it only lets us do it here, which was a pain in the butt, because one, it disables the button. You pressing it doesn't do anything. But when you press this is basically going to be like a super delete, because it's going to delete everything associated with it. It's going to delete all of this type of stuff with it. So that's why I wanted to make sure that this guy is like difficult to, you can't just accidentally delete this. So that's kind of the idea behind this extra thing, but I will delete it just to show you that. So boom, brings us back here, and that's been deleted. And now, and I'll talk about this later towards the end here, there's actually a design pattern that I might implement to do undoing. I don't know if I'm gonna let you undo deleting a project, because to delete a project, you can't accidentally delete it. You like have to be really intent on deleting a project. So that's pretty much it. I mean, all these guys work too. It works for any project. So I'm just kind of trying to think now. I'm like, okay, it works. There's still definitely like, what I want to do is have some sort of like thing up here where it's like hashtag settings or something, and it will open up this guy. I think that would be cool. It's not necessary, and I think that might just be wasted effort at this point. So we'll just say, you know, it's good enough for now. It's good enough for now. So let's talk about sustainability. I want to say it's about 2 weeks ago at this point, I brought up this kind of debate I was having, which was like, how like this is just gonna end up being like the ultimate micromanaging tool. How do you like prevent yourself or prevent others from using this as like super not great for your mental health? So I was like, okay, we need to build some sustainable stuff in here. So I was like, you know what? Actually, let me ask ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. So I had been working on a bunch of burnout research. I basically went through, if you don't know what, there's this thing called Hacker News, and they have like every now and then, you know, you get some sort of article that shows up that's all about like, oh, here's how you prevent developer workout, or here's how I've been through burnout. And so I went through and I sorted by the most popular, like 100 articles or something, and then I had ChatGPT summarize the supposed causes and then the supposed ways to alleviate or do that, and I compiled it all into a single document and then told it to summarize it again into bullet points. So basically condensed like, I don't know, probably like a good 40 or something different like discussions on developer burnout and professional burnout into this one document. So I fed it all that and told it I want some ways to implement the prevention and addressing burnout type of stuff into the program. That's what I want for sustainability, something like that. So we gave out a lot of interesting ideas. Workload management. A lot of these are kind of generic, honestly, but I did find, where is it? I did like number 11 and 12, I thought were very interesting. There was a few things like tacking in time tracking and limits. Could do something with that. These are just kind of ideas. This is like shotgun idea approaching, basically. So there's like some interesting ideas here that I think could be really cool. But again, it's like a lot up to the individual person on how they want to implement this or do that. So let's go here. So this is basically, I said, okay, for that assessment one, this one, number 12, self-assessment reflection tool. I have this meditation app, which I'll see if I can pull up. Nope, I can't pull up. Okay. Anyways, so I have this app, a meditation app, and it lets you do a like self-assessment every so often. And what's interesting about doing that is it lets you see over time, and it lets you do like mindfulness, awareness, compassion, like all these sorts of things, and it kind of like gives you a questionnaire to fill out. So it's like, oh, you know what? I know how to like make questionnaires like this. It's very simple. You just say like strongly disagree, neutral, agree. And I had it come up with like, what did I say? 40 questions, 30 questions. So it came up with this list of 30 questions that were all associated with, this is where all the research came from, was it basically burnout came down into these 8 categories. So it's like, come up with questions that are related to this stuff. And I want to add, right now you see they're all negative statements, like there's a lack of fairness and transparency in the workplace. Like, and so 1 is strongly disagree, 5 is strongly agree. And so I want to add some positive statements into here too, which just changes the math here. So it's like that could be an interesting idea, like a wellness assessment, letting you know, are you close to burning out? Do you need to take more breaks? Or like addressing specific things, like do you not have good social support at wherever you're working or whatever you're doing? Are the expectations unclear? Like that type of stuff lets you actually like hone in, and that could be really helpful for, I mean, I think it's really helpful. I think it's a cool idea. I don't know why I haven't seen it implemented into other things. I think part of it is because it's like a lot of these programs are used by employers, so there's certain like law type stuff on like how much information employers can ask of their employees, which is why a lot of programs don't implement this type of stuff. Even though I'm not doing this for an employer, I'm doing this for the person, the individual. So I think that it could be useful to the individual. That's my idea anyway. So that's one idea. Another one, which I already talked about previously, and this one is going to be in some way, shape, or form going to be in here, is the accomplishments / wins. You actually like saw it a little bit in our project page. Pull that up again. Our accomplishments here. I think I might just call this wins. I feel like wins might just be easier, shorter. The idea is that you're celebrating the things that you're actually accomplishing, getting done. And I'm thinking of having it like a journal, like it will just show you basically the day and then the thing that you got done. And then you can also edit it. So if it's like, if you created a task name and it's like take up trash or something like that, and you want to change it to, I don't know, taking out the trash is probably like not the greatest of examples, but say you had some sort of like task that was some part of a bigger thing, like finish 7 course things, and then you actually finish the course and you can just change it, be like, I finished the course today. Then also these could be associated to projects too. I'm also thinking that, let's see here, when you finish a project or when you finish a task, it will automatically create a win for you with that current date. So it will just pop up here and you can be like, well, this is what I did today. Like, this is my accomplishments for the day or for the week. And then you can filter it and be like, for work, and then I can just copy all this and paste it into email, do a little bit of formatting, and bada bang, bada boom, my invoicing stuff is done. Also, it's very satisfying to be able to look back at all this sort of stuff. So that's one thing for sustainability. This one was interesting. I don't want to waste too much time talking about this because it can be quite a extensive conversation, but I will just leave the conversation with this. Ice cream is good. So I did this assessment, kind of like a study when I was in high school. Might have been my senior year. I'm not sure. That doesn't really matter. Anyway, the idea was that every hour of the day, for about a week and a half, I recorded my alertness level, how aware I was. And this is this chart. I actually found it. So the idea was that it was I want to say it was like a Harvard sleep alertness study or something. It was a Flash. It was Adobe Flash program that you would basically press it, and it would tell you like, basically just if you've ever seen reaction tests. It's like that, but it was specifically designed for sleepiness, like how sleepy are you? And so, higher answers means you're more alert, lower answers mean you're less alert. This is, if you couldn't tell, this is where math class was sometime around 12 to 2. And you'll see it's right here. So this is where I started out on average, and I was like, you know what, I need to, be awake for the most part. So what I did is I ended up trying to experiment with taking a nap. I can't remember which one of these is the nap, honestly. I don't know what happened. This is just this was a few. I did it for like a couple days, and then I tried it with nap. And this is where I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if like people could make this on their own and figure out their own alertness stuff. Because this really, like, if these are your best 2 hours of the day right here, like, if you're more awake now, you'll get a lot more done, and then you can actually rest during these times and like take naps and stuff like that. And then you can also create variants of this type of stuff and be like, okay, this is what it's like if I don't take a nap. This is what I like if I do take a nap. That's just a cool idea. It doesn't need to be too complicated. But I think it could get super detailed, probably more detailed than it needs to be. Also, there's a lot of factors that can change this stuff, like, how much sleep did you get? Did you take a nap? Did you drink caffeine? Caffeine could be an interesting case study. So that's just a cool idea. Doesn't need to be done. Let's talk about courses. So this was a couple weeks ago. I said I was going to try and finish these courses this month. This was 2 weeks ago. This is today. I am finishing this one course. That one I'm going to be finishing it this week. I am very, very close to being it done, and which kind of leads into, I was starting to work on like actually implementing the project page, right? I was working on the project page while I was taking this course, and I get to the end of the course, and this isn't the first time I've heard of this architecture, but it is the first time I've seen it implemented this way, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, because if I don't do this, I'm just wasting time. So now I went through and I was like, okay, I need to completely refactor my code to like fit this. So I didn't get everything I wanted to do this week done, but I did learn a very cool and clean way to do stuff. I also did get more courses on design patterns, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and some stuff on clean code. So this is the design architecture pattern. It is really just a way to be like, hey, the data stuff should be over here, and the view stuff should be over here, and my headset just died. So anyway, this is this diagram I found on the internet. I'll put a link to whoever owns it. So you can see this on the left is the beginning of the week when I was working on this stuff. This is how we had everything organized. You can see the responsibility of stuff is very vague. Let's see here. The utility, the funny thing is, I was starting to work towards this, and this is the interesting thing I've been learning with Agile. My ice cream is like 90% melted, by the way, just letting you know that. 90% of what I learned something in Agile book, which was basically like, you want to keep like working on getting things actually done until you back yourself into these models or these design patterns, because you don't want to just go out and be like, oh, I can implement any pattern because I know of it. It's like, oh, I see myself working towards this way, now I should implement it. So components was being visual components. Utilities was actually, this stuff was the model for the project, the model for the Pomodoro, actually fetching that stuff from the database. And then this stuff was just kind of, each of these is a different view. So I was already basically using the system without like actually defining these different components and these different models and stuff like that. So I'm actually breaking that stuff out and being like, okay, this thing actually gets the data for the projects, and then this thing will actually like control creating and button presses and all that sort of stuff. And this is what it looks like. This is updating all of our stupid forms. Spent so much time this past week on forms. It's okay. I'm going to try refactoring it and making it pretty, and making it so that when I work on this the next couple of weeks, I don't have to think about this, because it's a blessing and a curse to do this refactor now, because now is the cheapest time to do it going forward. But it's the most expensive point because I didn't do this at the beginning, or I didn't do this sooner. So I'm just gonna have to spend probably like 5-10 hours or something going through all this stuff and fixing it, which is, you might say, 5 to 10 hours that I'm not building out some application or something else, but I'm thinking that this, in the term of the project, in the however many 150 hours or something like that this project is expected to take, it will save probably a few. This is just ice cream soup. There's not even like so anyway, finished the project pages. That was it. Started refactoring this stuff. Didn't even get to refactoring the notifications, although that will be easier once we do the MVC refactor. Still haven't messed with tests. Tests have been on the backlog for like weeks now. Still haven't got around to it. Next week, finishing the refactor. I'm hoping to have that done within the next 2 weeks. And then also, it should be super easy now to refactor and redesign notification system. Potentially, as I was mentioning and I've alluded to, using the command pattern to enable us to undo things. So if we edit a project and we want to undo that, there's not like a way naturally to undo this. So we can use the command pattern, which basically says, we have this command that says update the thing, and then we can say like, here's a list of the commands we've already executed, and then we say like, okay, undo. Now we go back one and undo it basically. So that would be cool. That I could see that being helpful for accidentally checking off project, a task, or a list, or there's like a few things that it could be like, I'm using my to-do list application, I accidentally check off an item that I didn't finish yet. That type of stuff is nice. So I could see undo is probably beneficial enough that I should implement it now, which also, when we do our MVC stuff, when we do our model view control thing, our models will also pretty closely integrate with command pattern. So that's cool. That's about it. I really wanted to make this video short, and I kind of did. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, listening to this week's episode. I will return in technically 2 weeks from today, but anyway, nice. Bye.